In the southern island of Kyushu, the tea farmers benefit from warm subtropical climates and rich, fertile soils. When exploring this area, you'll notice a diverse array of different tea varieties. This is because the winters here are much milder, meaning that more delicate types of tea plants are able to be grown without being damaged by the frost. We begin our journey in the area of Kumamoto in central Kyushu. On this farm, Mr. Fujisako produces a unique type of tea called Kamaericha, or curled tea.
So we're here at the tea field of Satoru Fujisako in Kumamoto, and what we see here behind us is actually a tea field where he creates his two most expensive and most valuable tea. Is the Kamaericha Besako and Kamaericha Hinokuni. And we can see here we took one leaf actually, which he is using for these two teas. And important about this tea is that he actually uses only the first harvest. As soon as he has the second, third or even fourth harvest, he only produces bancha. But these two teas, they're only harvested from the first flush.
To make top quality green teas, the youngest sprouts are often used, whereas a tea like bancha is made from more mature leaves. This gives Kamaericha a sweeter and fresher taste, while the bancha takes on more of these earthy and mineral-rich flavors.
So for the bancha actually, he uses much more. So just here, for example, here we have the top of the plant. For his highest grade tea, the Kamaericha Besako, he uses this part here. So this is really the upper part. If he does bancha, so which is coming from the second or third harvest, it's actually this part of the plant down until here, which is used. So he uses as well the stem, as he explained us for the bancha. And sometimes even you see that the leaves are much thicker. Here it's very fine, and here you have thicker leaves, which are then used also for the bancha. So bancha is actually a rougher tea, not as highly selected as the normal tea or as his high-grade teas. And here you also use the thicker and less high-quality leaves.
When visiting the field, it became clear to us the difference between the conventional and organic farming methods. These two different types of tea fields were positioned side by side, so you could really get a clear comparison.
So we're here again on the non-organic field, and what you can see here below us are actually the bags they use for the chemicals. So these are the chemical bags. How with the pesticides in them, which is in a kind of powder form. And it makes actually all the plants grow in a very nice way. What Satoru Fujisako told us as well, that actually the pesticides, it is said that they are washed away in the production process. But what happens is, due to the rain, the pesticides they go into the earth and are finally absorbed by the plant. So they go also in the inside of the leaf, which you cannot wash outside away. So actually the pesticides you have in each tea which is used and planted with pesticides, you also have pesticides in. What is also astonishing is that you can see here the earth is really black and there's no grass, nearly nothing growing on it. And now when we go on the other side, actually here where the organic field is, what you can see is that I'm walking on green grass here. Everything is growing and everything seems more natural. You also have more space here. You hear more birds, you see more flies flying around. So there's, on this field you have nature really packed together, and everything seems to be in a symbiotic equality and equilibrium. Meanwhile there you see nearly only the tea growing, and everything else is kind of shut down or brought to a minimum.
While the conventional farming produces a less healthy ecosystem, it's difficult to ignore the effect that it has on the short-term growth of the tea plant. It is far less labor-intensive for farmers to use these powerful pesticides and fertilizers, so it's often difficult for them to transition to organic farming.
So if we first go to the non-organic, we are around 2 weeks away from the harvest. what you can see is that it's already very beautiful green. The sprouts are already nicely developed, so what I would pick here are the three upper parts, and they're really finely developed. So here we are very close to the final harvest on the non-organic field. What we also can see is that actually the earth is pretty hard and more solid than with now the organic farm. What we can see here is now the organic field, so already the color is different. It's not so greenish, it's more, you might say, more natural. And we see also that the sprouts, they are much smaller. Here are some bigger ones, but in general the whole plant is less developed. So here, after the farmer Fujisako, he said that around 3 weeks from now there will be the harvest. And also the soil, what you can see is the soil of the organic field is really soft. You can really go in and make nearly holes with your bare hand. So this is also something which is really which is particular for the organic field, but mainly you really see that here you have more like a saturated green color, not so much grown. And if we go here on the non-organic field, it's much greener and already more developed, as they're using as well growth hormones to push the growth of the plant.
The early days of organic farming can be difficult for farmers like Fujisako. A few decades ago, he decided that the right thing to do was to stop using pesticides on his field. He had to handle the expenses of this transition as well as lower crop yields in the initial few years, which both put tremendous strain on him and his family. All of these were endured in the pursuit of more sustainable farming. Now, because his tea is completely organic, environmentally minded customers are willing to pay a premium for it. We are thankful to Mr. Fujisako for the sacrifices he made as well as the delicious tea he produces. Next on our journey, we travel to the mountainous prefecture of Miyazaki in central Kyushu to learn about a tea that is quite rare in Japan. Most Japanese green teas are steamed after harvesting, and most Chinese green teas are pan-fired, but occasionally you find an exception to that rule. Kamaericha, or pan-fired tea, is a Japanese tea, but it's made in the Chinese style, giving it characteristics of both. When the tea leaves are turned in a hot pan, they inherit more of these warmer notes of toasted almonds, cashews, and a tiny hint of caramel. Although this tea is uncommon in Japan as a whole, the area of Miyazaki specializes in the production of this pan-fired tea. To meet one of the farmers, we will head to Takachiho, a small town in Miyazaki Prefecture. We meet with the farmer Mr. Isin and his family and sit down for a cup of tea in their 200-year-old home, which was once used by samurai, but now hosts 3 generations of family members.
So we are here in an ancient house of the farmer Isien, and what you can see here is actually a door. And this part here, so this piece of wood is made out of one tree. So this is one big tree, and they made just a very fine part out of this one here, and you can really see that this is the stem. And additionally to it, that you can see that there originally was a dragon drawn on this piece of wood, so you can slightly still see the dragon.
During the tea tasting, we got a chance to try out the Hojicha, Kamaericha, and Oolong teas produced by the family. We were particularly fond of the Kamaericha and were curious to see how it was grown and produced.
So we're here on another field of the prefecture of Miyazaki, and we're in the middle of a beautiful Yabukita field. And Yabukita is a cultivar which is actually growing faster, so the sprouts are already out. So if you go down on the plant, here we can really see that some of them, they're pretty showing up beautifully, and all the sprouts here, they're also already quite good grown. And all the fields here, so we have one field here, and below we have one, and then behind the fourth one. These are all Yabukita fields growing at the same pace, so they will be harvested, all of them, at the exact same time.
Another thing we noticed on the tea fields was the soil beneath the tea plants, which was covered with an organic fertilizer.
So what you can really see them here. So it's a mix of rice hulls with grass and fertilizer of rape seeds. So it's really a beautiful mix, which keeps the soil soft and it nourishes the soil also to have just perfect nourishment of the tea plant. And finally, this creates then the beautiful taste of the first harvest of the ichibacha.
Because organic farmers don't use conventional fertilizers, they often end up making their own out of natural ingredients they find on the farm. In the case of Mr. Issen, he will combine discarded rice hulls with organic grapeseed fertilizer to make a type of nutrient-rich mulch.
This is the organic rapeseed fertilizer which is used on his fields, and this is one he purchases on the market. And this is an organic certified fertilizer, and then this one here nourishes really the plants, coming from rapeseed and used to make a beautiful thing. And he's the boss. He's the boss. You're hungry? So this never happened. This is the closest I got to chicken. Besides, if I'm in a restaurant, haha.
Real careful.
But. So I got already 2. And if I close it, you pick my book. Yeah.
After the tea plants are harvested, they are processed right here on his property. He set up a small production facility in his backyard so he and his family could keep a close eye on the roasting of the teas.
Hello everybody, we are here at the Issei Kamaericha production. So what we will do now is just walk you through the whole production. So follow me. So, first step and most important step of the Kamaericha production is actually the Kamaericha oven. So this is the most important part here. When the leaves arrive, they are put first through the containers there, which you can see there, over there, and then they just put up here over this part in the machine here on the right, and then coming slowly but surely into the oven, falling down here, and then coming in this part here where actually the oven is heated up to 350 degrees Celsius, and you got a tube inside where the leaf, they're just turned with this tube, and the metal really gets to 350 degrees up. Then in a second step they get through this tube to the upper part. The upper part here is then again 200 degrees hot, and they have kind of a second slight roasting of the leaves, always turned, still containing a lot of moisture, but getting really here slightly roasted in this part, and then coming into the next steps. The next steps, they are mainly made through turning of the leaves, different kinds of turning. Once it's rolling, once is this brush turning as well, and with each step the moisture gets more and more out of the leaves, and with each step the leaves get drier and drier. So here we are maybe around 20% of moisture still in the leaves. So to just show you how it looks inside. So here really the leaves are pushed against the wood, so they lose with each turn more and more of its moisture. Second part of heating, here the oven is only around 150 degrees hot, and again you can see there are stones with a flame, so these are small ovens giving again this slightly roasted flavor of the Kamaericha. And this is really the last part where you also have the separation of hojicha. So hojicha is really roasted tea, or the Kamaericha, which is slightly roasted tea. So when I just open this here up, so this is actually a pan which is heated up to around 100 degrees when it is open, 112 degrees when it is closed, and here the leaves stay in just for 1 hour, and this gives it the final touch of this slightly roasted taste. And when you want to do hojicha, you just go up to 140 degrees, and then you're gonna get this dark roasted and nearly chocolatey flavor then out of the hojicha, and these then give the two different teas.
As you can see, whether a farmer is producing a roasted tea, a tamari okucha, or a bancha, it all begins with having a level of care and respect for the tea plant. On this field in Takachiho, Mr. Isen is growing the next generation of tea plants. With the love and care of the Isen family, as well as the great nourishment of the fertilizer he created, these tea plants will have a bright future ahead of them and will likely be used to produce plenty of delicious teas in the future. If you're interested in trying the teas produced by Mr. Isen or Mr. Fujisako, please head to our website neoteas.com and help us to support the farmers that are producing tea the right way.